So I have a question for you. How much time are you spending in activities that actually feel fun? Like even outside of your business, are you spending time doing things that feel fun? Are you sharing that you are doing things that feel fun with your community or followers, with your clients? Are you spending real, like valuable time doing things in your business that feel fun? I ask because a lot of people end up building themselves a job, that's a job, and they end up feeling like they're working all the time. And even though you have passion for your work, even though your work may be around your purpose, your business may be furthering an impact in the world, if you're not having fun, it can actually start to feel like a lot of work, and it gets overwhelming, it gets exhausting, and it can actually cause you to feel conflicted about growing the reach, the impact, and the revenues of your business. Hey, it's Melanie here. And today I want to talk about a little bit of a secret sauce that is very easy to kind of put on the side. And I know that because I hear a lot of people tell me that this is happening for them. And it's happened for me from time to time. And a lot of this has to do with having fun. And I want to talk about how we can bring fun back into our business and some of the little hacks and tips and techniques that I found that even though I'm doing work that I love, I truly love the work I do, and I can't imagine doing anything else in the world. There are times where I'm ready to pack it in, where it doesn't feel fun, and I'm doing a lot of things that I should be doing. That was in air quotes if you're listening to this later. And they're not actually feeling fun. And so it starts to feel very exhausting. And I had a very profound conversation with a friend of mine, Sam Riley, not too long ago, where I was having one of those days where I wanted to pack it in. I was not feeling joy. Things were feeling stuck. I was, I don't know, I was kind of second guessing a lot of things that normally I don't second guess. And she's like, Melanie, you're not having fun. You're not sharing about fun. You're not doing anything that is light and joyful. And, like you need to bring some of that back in. And I was like, boom, light bulb moment. And oftentimes when I talk to entrepreneurs, clients in Amplify Your Authority who are feeling stuck or maybe feeling some conflict about growing their business, one of the big things that's missing is they're not having fun. Like they love their work, but it's not fun. Like they're not doing things that recharge their batteries and keep the fuel flowing for growing the business. And so I want to unpack what shifted for me and share this because it may have a huge impact for you. Like if you're finding yourself in that place where you're questioning this, or you are holding yourself back from growing your business because it's not feeling fun, there's something in today's conversation that is for you. Now, first of all, and I wrote some notes because I didn't want to forget anything. I think it's important to understand the place that fun has. There are certain what we call like money-making blueprints, ways in which we operate in the world, where we may end up like having this paradigm where work is supposed to feel hard and fun is supposed to be over here and it's separate. And so my inquiry, like the coaching question that emerges for me is like, what would have to shift? What would have to be different? Or what would have to be true for fun and work to be integrated, where making more money was a result of having more fun, whether that's fun outside of your business or fun in your business or both, right? And so I find that when I pose this challenge to my clients and say, well, what would having more fun, what would have more joy, what would feel like you're having more self-care, what would that bring for you? Oftentimes it feels separate. Like, well, I had to do this in order to make more money. I want to pose to you that actually having more fun and being vocal about that, sharing that, like choosing that and making that the front of your business, the primary motivator in your business, could actually be the very thing that makes you more money. And what if you did that and that became the catalyst for you to grow the reach, have a greater impact, to be able to create a steady stream of income because it makes you more irresistible and compelling and magnetic. It creates this energy that's so intriguing to potential clients, and it makes them want to work with you even more. It makes them want to be a part of the momentum and the community and the connections that you're building. So you may logically know this and you may get this, but are you making this an integrated part of the way you are growing your business? Like, are you making fun a vital lifeline for what has to be included in the opportunities and the strategies and the clients that you work with? Like, I now have a filtering system that if something is not feeling fun, I have to take a step back and say, can I change my perspective? So there's a step in all of this about rewiring the message that we're giving ourselves about something. So is this a messaging thing where I have to shift my own internal dialogue about something, or is it simply not aligned? And saying yes to it may be the right thing from a business perspective, but because fun is one of my core pillars, that I'm actually going to short circuit the very energy I need to grow and to want to expand, right? So these are some things that we can be in inquiry about. And I use the word inquiry because this is one of those coaching journeys where we get stuck in thought patterns and belief systems and conditioning that causes us to create this groove called, I have to do it like this, which often is the very thing that's blocking being more magnetic, being more in more of an energetic frequency alignment with prosperity, right? And so the shift has to start on the inside, and then the external strategies, the external doing part can start to fall into place and be in alignment. It's very, very powerful. So the first thing that I think has to happen is you have to look at what activities feel fun for you and how much time are you spending in them. So do you actually have business building activities that are fun? And if you don't, then we got to look at that first, right? Because if there's nothing you're doing that is fun in growing your business, you're probably in the wrong business, or you have some deep undercurrents of a hard work paradigm that could be recoded to help you start to have more fun activities in your business. So you have to look at where that's stemming from. But for me, one of the things that's really fun, and there's some anxiousness that goes with it. Like, I don't want to say it's like, I don't ever feel like energy that's not, I guess for lack of a better word, like that's not fun, but the outcome is fun. Like the being in it is fun. And that's speaking, is getting on stages. So the travel part, not always fun, but the outcome is fun. And so here's one of the shifts. What do I need to shift in how I get somewhere, or how I get something set up so I can be more in the fun energy? Or do I have to be willing to do the hard part so that the outcome is more enjoyable? So this isn't really having to do with work, but it's a very, very powerful metaphor for this process. And I shared a few times how about 3 summers ago, my family and I went up to Yosemite, which is one of the national parks here in California. And there is a well-known hike that everybody wanted to do but me. Why did I not want to do it? Because I felt like I was out of shape. Like, it was hot. I don't do so well in the heat. And it's like straight up. It's like 400 or 700 stairs straight up on the side of a waterfall. So reed slippery. And I was in my head about it. And I really was like, I don't want to do it. But then I realized I was going to be all by myself if I didn't go with them, without a car, without anything to do. And I'm like, okay, I'll go. And the process of getting there was not as fun as the outcome and the dopamine rush I had from doing something uncomfortable to experience something extraordinary. Okay, so one of the interesting things, and if you study brain chemicals, we need dopamine to get past the hump of difficulty that we perceive something is going to be. And so there's some really interesting research out now about the 4 chemicals that our brain needs for different reasons. Dopamine, serotonin. Wow, am I going to remember all of them? No, I'm not going to remember all of them, so I'll post them later. But and as a matter of fact, there's a great book called The Habits of a Happy Brain that talk about these 4 chemicals that our brain needs to be happy. And interestingly enough, like the dopamine has to be there to produce motivation to do things that feel hard to get to an outcome that we perceive we want. So the example I was giving is the activity itself wasn't appearing to be fun, but who I became and the resourcefulness I activated by doing something that was outside my comfort zone brought me a rush of fun. And so as we apply this to our business, one of the things that I think is very powerful to remember is sometimes the effort to get to the fun will require some stretching outside our comfort zone, becoming someone we didn't know we needed to be. And so that may be part of the mix for you, is you may have to shatter some paradigms and some limits and beliefs that are causing you to get trapped in conflict and hard work and exhaustion. And this is an inner game activity. You must shatter the stuff that's going on, the hardwiring, the conditioning that literally traps you in a brain function that says this is how it's supposed to be. I love doing this kind of work. I used to do it in the Money DNA program, and now Money DNA is part of the Amplify Your Authority Inner Circle, because the inner and the outer have to come together in order to really amplify the greatest superpowers that we have. So really understanding what activities are fun for me, and do I need to shatter some conditioning? Do I have to recode some of the ways I think so that I can actually either A, recognize what those activities are, or B, spend more time in them? So I wanted to share some things that will work to help you start to repattern the way you've been doing things and create time to do the things that you love. So one of them is just pure, like, how you schedule yourself. And I used to have this client many years ago. She worked 7 days a week, like 14-hour days. And she never had time to grow her business. And I kept challenging her, like, what are you going to do to shift this? And all of a sudden, one day she had this huge paradigm shift that she had created a business that didn't support a lifestyle. And that is the most important thing, is recognizing whatever lifestyle you want, whatever time you want for fun that's outside of work, or if you're going to incorporate both, you have to create space for it. And so I'm a fan of decide how much you want to work and how much you're going to play, and then schedule it. So one of the things that I started doing at the beginning of this year, kind of towards the end of last year and into this year, is I started scheduling the very last week of every month out of the office. Now, sometimes that's just a little bit if I am going to take a vacation at a different time of the month, because I don't always get to control all the factors, including my husband's schedule. But what I find is by scheduling it and blocking that out, I now have a week that says this is the week that you are blocking for fun. And whatever fun is, you are going to have intentional time to experience it. Plus, I tend to not schedule things on Fridays to have a little bit of flexibility. So Friday mornings, I go to my yoga class, or I might meet a friend for lunch, or that's a day where like I might do the things that feel more like play and aren't necessarily driving my business forward, so that I'm infusing that fun activity all the time. Now, taking time out for fun is, if you are not having that right now, this has to be intentional. And here's the payoff. You are a billion times more magnetic and inspiring and inspired when you are recharging your batteries. It's an energy thing, and people know, like, they feel it. And again, like, if you want to share about that, and you want to, if you're more of a social media person and you're going, or in your emails with your community, if you're telling stories about how the fun is showing up in your life, this will become a powerful client magnet. I don't know why, but every time I'm getting ready for a vacation, or in any time that I'm being more intentional about sharing some of the fun stuff, I always get more VIP clients. It just happened right when we were leaving for Hawaii, the week before I left, 2 VIP clients signed up. I was like, okay, go figure. Like, I don't know. It's an energy thing. People, when you feel more open and energetically expansive, people feel it. It's attractive. It's irresistible. It's compelling. The other thing that happens, we're talking a little bit about that, sharing you having fun, like depending on your kind of who you are and your brand personality, like expressing that, it's almost like it's a part of the compelling energy that you're teaching people. Then you have to share it, and it gets very exciting for the people who are looking for a mentor. They're looking for something that's going to shift the experience they're having. I one time wrote an email to my community. It's been several years, so if you've been with me for a little while, you wouldn't have seen this email because it's not as relevant now. But this was maybe 14 years ago. I wrote an email about taking a Friday off, driving down to Laguna Beach, which is about a 2-hour drive for me, going into one of the 5-star hotels, sitting down, to watch the sunset, and ordering a $17 hamburger. And the sharing of that story was so compelling that I literally filled an entire year mastermind based on the way I structure my business so that I can do things on a whim that are fun for me. And so I had some interesting some feedback on that, where people were like, I want to be able to spend $17 on a hamburger and not think twice about it. So part of it was prosperity, and that I could do that. Part of it was time freedom, which was really the point of the story, was time freedom. And that I choose places that make me feel abundant and expansive. So there was a lot wrapped up in that story. But my point is, I was also sharing how I make fun a part of my life, a part of my business, and a part of my brand. And it was so compelling. Like I said, I filled an entire mastermind from that. So part of sharing it is that you are being integrated in fun and business, and making fun a paradigm that's appealing to other people too. And not everybody's wired for that. Like, some people are wired for work, and work feels hard to them, and they need permission to unravel that and expand. Now, I think a third piece of this puzzle is recognizing what we're choosing to be spending our time on in our business, and how many of the business growth activities that we do feel fun for us, and how many of them don't. Look, not all of business growth is fun. Like, I get that, but there are ways to navigate the things that you're not good at, that are not in your superpowers, that don't feel good. And yes, sometimes it's just like, just say no, this is not going to be part of what you do. But more often than not, if it's something that is going to help you reach your end goal, as I was sharing with my story about climbing the mountain, sometimes it's important to figure out how to get someone else to help you do them so you can grow. And you spend more time in the activities that are fun for you. So in my business, one of the things that's super fun for me is I love podcasting. I love being on other people's podcasts. I love showing up and sharing what I've learned and helping inspire other people to get past their own limits and fears and challenges and step into their superpower and make a greater impact, make more money, be successful, right? That is something that just lights my fire. I could do it all day long. Like, I've given all day talks, and people are like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just drop in and I channel, and it comes through me, and it's fun. Now, how much time are you spending in activities that give you fuel, that feel fun to you? Do you know what those activities are? And if you're not spending enough time in them, figure out what to do, what you could do that will bring more fun, but also how you can do the things that grow your business and maybe get the parts off of your plate that don't feel fun. I outsource a lot of getting my podcast out. I outsource a lot of the guesting process to my team because it's fun for them. They love it. They're like, it's like they drop in and they do the stuff that makes them super excited. and I do the part that makes me excited. And that's what makes the whole thing work more. But let me tell you, when you're spending a lot of time in activities that don't feel fun, and you're not getting your fun batteries recharged, it'll feel like work, and you'll start to talk yourself into slowing down your growth. And that's not the most powerful place for you to be right now, because the world needs what you do, trust me. And the last piece of this puzzle is really looking at your own internal dialogue. One of the new VIP clients I was mentioning earlier, I was actually doing a training for somebody, and she was sharing what she wanted support with, and the language she used. I was like, I can see right now why this isn't working for you, because you've convinced yourself it's hard. And she was like, oh my goodness, you're right. She's like, I run around telling the story about how hard this is all the time. And that nanosecond of a shift was, what if you stopped saying it was hard? What if you started saying, this can be easy for me. I just need to find my way through it. There are so many examples of how this shows up for you. But when you notice that something's feeling hard and you do have to do the task, like this is an activity that you will need to be in. What if you found a way to add more fun into it? What if you made it your version of it and you found a way to do it so it brings you joy? Okay, so there's a billion examples of this, from like searching for a virtual assistant to creating a podcast to whatever. And part of the way you funnerize, like, is that a word? Like, can we make that a word? Add fun to whatever the activity is decide you're going to have fun with it. Stop telling yourself it's hard. Stop making yourself feel sick about it. Stop being overwhelmed. If you change the dialogue, you change the story that you tell yourself about this activity, guess what? You'll find a way to have more fun with it. At a bare minimum, you'll neutralize the energy, and it won't feel bad, but it may not feel exciting, right? It just won't have any energy whatsoever. That's better than negative energy. So I've done this with everything, from making money, from sales calls to hiring virtual assistants. Like, I used to go into dread when I needed to hire someone. And now I go, okay, so there's someone even better out there looking for me, and I'm looking for them. I can't wait to find them. Okay. So I'm going to have fun with this. Like, I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to attract them. And or I'll tell myself, like, wow, okay, so this has felt hard in the past. Like, I'm going to do it this time, so it feels fun and easy. So I can't wait to see what happens, right? So it's all about changing the dynamics. And what happens when you change the dynamic in your brain, you change the story, your feeling state changes. So instead of like feeling awful and constricting and energetically depleting, it starts to feel, okay, all right, so I wonder what would happen like if it was different, right? We get curious. And then that curiosity leads to a changed state, and that changed state can be more expansive. And that's the expansiveness is where everything starts to shift. And so I really want to leave you today with this idea that you can change this whole dynamic by changing the stories you make up about things, changing the dialogue, changing the tone of how you look at something. I know this might feel like a big shift, or it may be little micro shifts right now, because you've already been doing this work and you're like, oh, I never thought of really changing the energy around the activities so I could find some fun in it. Whatever you do, I want to leave you with this. Bringing more fun into everything you do can only bring more expansiveness and joy and a magnetic quality that makes you compelling and irresistible. Okay, so this may be a micro shift that you're like, boom, starting to see results right away. This may be a little bit of a hill to climb or a downward slope. Hopefully, you're just going to slide right into it and have some fun with it. Think of it like an adventure. How could I integrate fun? What would have to be different for me to have more fun in my business right now? Or to carve out time to have fun outside of my business, or both? Get curious. Explore, but be willing to add a little more fun in and see what happens. Now, I want to leave you with a couple of resources. I mentioned earlier the book that I've been reading on and off for the last couple of years called The Habits of a Happy Brain. It's a phenomenal book, especially if you find that you're somebody who happiness can feel a little elusive. Maybe you have some trauma in your background, or there's been a lot of challenges in your life. totally get it. I've been there. So part of the reason I got the book was I was unraveling some very painful things from my childhood, and I found myself kind of feeling low. And I got this book, Habits of a Happy Brain, and really learning how brain chemicals work was life-changing. And it's a very powerful resource to have in your toolkit. The second resource to have in your toolkit, if you don't already have it, is my 7-step framework to add another 6 figures into your business this year. It's all based on using your superpower, and your superpower should be fun for you. Your being in your superpower should feel expansive. And how we expand the reach of your work. I've been using the 7-step plan for 20 of the 22 years I've been in business. It's very powerful and it works. And sometimes we need to do a little fine tuning, and it may be having more fun with it. So if you want the plan, if you don't yet have it, if you joined recently into the group, or you are on my email list, chances are you got it at some point. But if you don't have it, you can just type plan, or you can DM me plan, and we will show you how to get access to it. All right. So I want to hear from you. If you're listening to this live in the Amplify Authority group, tell me, what is an activity that brings you fun, and or what is an activity in your business you're going to focus on more so you have more fun? Can't wait to hear.